Good afternoon from Costa Rica. Early afternoon. I just had lunch. I've had a crazy day. I've had to do one of those tasks that I absolutely hate doing that you have to do every now and then. I had to clean out my cabinets. I don't wish that on anybody. Hey, Queenie Sheba, Dances in the Rain, Raghill. Here we are. So, and I wanted to say, I just want to introduce myself to those of you who may watch this who don't know me. I'm Suzanne Tidkammeyer. I wrote for Pathos, a column called No Longer Quivering for almost 10 years that involved fundamentalists, religion, quiverfull, all of that sort of thing. Okay, hit the like, subscribe button, ring the bell notification. I really appreciate that. These are just my opinions. Research what I'm saying and form your own. And don't bully anybody that I'm talking about. Don't even be rude to them, please. Namaste. Namaste. So, what a couple of weeks it has been. Hey, John. Yeah, doing the YouTubey things. What a couple of weeks it has been with Jill Rodrigues. Jill Rodrigues' mother, Trisha Noyes. Yeah, what a last name. She had a stroke. I think it was right around the 4th of July. And she's still in the hospital. She's been in there almost a month now. They put a temporary shunt in her brain to drain off the fluid, which happens when it's that kind of a stroke. And apparently she's not able to speak much, and she's quite confused in various things. So she's got some brain damage, and I'm not taking joy in that. I'm just throwing that out there because, having a stroke and having to recover from it is the worst thing in the world. I'm just going to tell you, it throws a different level of fatigue. It's like this morning. I was completely cleaning the bottom cabinets in the kitchen and laying out the shelf liner. Something that I've done 10,000 times before that's always been easy suddenly became super hard because of a stupid stroke. Climbing in, climbing up, getting up and down. So I feel for Trisha. She's going to have a hard road back. But at the same time, I'm watching her daughter do things like Queenie Sheba. I think with the right therapy, she may not 100% recover because I don't think that's possible all the time. It wasn't possible for me, but I think she'll go a long ways towards it. But it's got to be therapy and other things. And I don't know what their financial situation, their insurance situation is, because insurance determines a whole lot of that, which is a sad thing in the U.S., the way U.S. healthcare is. That's one reason that I watch some of these doctors on YouTube, because sometimes they go off about insurance. And I am here for that, because that is one of the stupidest things ever when insurance starts to die in care. But I'm going to say this. In Fundy Town, insurance is thought of differently than it is anywhere else. It's considered gambling. Gambling. You're gambling with the insurance company, and they say that if you're paying insurance and you're gambling, not only are you gambling, you're inviting Satan to come in and put some kind of illness on you. You're not trusting in the Lord. You're not trusting in the Lord to meet your needs, however, and to pay for your surgeries, pay for your whatevers. You're just not trusting. As a result, I'm not sure what kind of insurance they have, or even if they have insurance. I'm not sure about that. I do know that Jill's been relentlessly fundraising, which that is Jill. And I laughed the other day because Jill posted something that is the whole subject of what I want to talk about today with Jill and with others. One of her sisters, I believe it was Lisa Moravec, the one that wrote the horrible book, Serene Serenity. Over a month, that's a long time to be treated, or has she been moved to a nursing home? Carolyn, she's still in the hospital. She has not been moved to a nursing home. As long as she has that open shunt in her head, and it's not the permanent shunt they put in, She's going to be there. She is going to be there. And just let me rant for a second about the inappropriateness of her daughter washing her hair while she's got that temporary shunt in. You just cannot do that and not expect to pick up an infection on the shunt. You just can't. And I don't know why she was allowed to do that by nurses anyway. Because they make lots of dry shampoos out there. Okay, I know they're not as good as washing your hair, but you have an open wound on your head that goes all the way down to your brain that could lead to infection. You don't stop and wash somebody's hair in those circumstances. That's when you start using the dry spray and you brush them and that sort of thing. Jan, I can't help it. Every now and then she does stuff that you have to talk about because it's like, oh my word, where did you get that? Almost like God does not provide doctors, nurses, insurance, and modern medicine. Queen of Sheba, a lot of them believe that those things are idolatry. If you go to the doctor, that is idolatry. If you take vitamins, that's idolatry. Is it just a bunch of stuff that is idolatry? Miss Turlick was moved to a rehab floor within the hospital. Prairie, I'm not surprised. But she still has that shunt. She still has that open thing. Poor Monty doesn't need her hair messed with at all in her condition. They just need to leave her head alone. Well, hey, Grace Peters, I could see they could spray her head with some of the dry shampoo and brush it out, because if it was me, I would be agitating for that. And it is kind of frustrating when you're in the hospital and your hair gets crazy. It can get really crazy if you're in there a long time. I noticed Jill never allows comments. She must have had problems with trolls. She's had more than problems with trolls, especially over this. People are livid that she is using this as an opportunity to fundraise and that she's doing her mother's nails and washing her hair. Things that really the nursing staff should really put paid to that right away. None of that stuff is all right. None of it on the stroke floor where they're trying to get her stabilized and start doing a little rehab. So one of her sisters posted and said something about when she was going to be there to take care of her or something. Jill jumped all over her about, I am the one running the schedule, blah, blah, blah. And Lisa backed off and said something consolatory. I forgot what it was exactly. But I was sitting here thinking, what a you know what? She's jumping all over her sister and running the schedule and deciding who sees what, who sees poor Trish win. Taking pictures of Trish when Trish is not able to say no or yes. I saw a disturbing video of her complimenting Nuri for looking so thin, and she's 25 weeks pregnant. Jan, I saw that too. That's shameful. That is shameful. Jill, I don't understand. She has always been a little chunky and chubby. Jill has. And she relentlessly pushes this Plexus diet drink. And I don't see any results in her. If it really works so well, why wouldn't she give it to her husband? He really needs to lose weight. I'm actually concerned that he's not going to be real long-lived. He's rather heavy. But again, it's him, and she should be influencing him as his wife and saying, well, honey, you should get down to a lower weight. This is the reason that my husband and I are on a diet by our nutritionist, because it works. And we're doing it together because that's really how it has to happen. And we're not drinking some metabolite drink to make it happen. So Jill has done so many awful things that we knew that her mother being in the hospital was going to bring out the awful. But I don't think any of us truly anticipated exactly how horrible it was going to get, how many videos that she was going to post, how many different photos, how she was going to do her hair up and all that. None of us saw that coming. But we really should have, because when her sister had a car accident, was paralyzed, She was in the ER taking pictures. When her own daughters were in a car accident, she was taking pictures in the ER when they had blood on their faces and stuff. That's really not a time to be taking pictures of your family unless you're taking a picture of somebody to send to another family member to say, look, Mama's okay. Mama is okay. You don't have to worry about her. That would be about the only circumstances I could ever see that it would be acceptable to do that. The problem with Jill is she doesn't have boundaries. She doesn't understand what boundaries are, and she has a little bit of the mean girl bully streak in her. Why do I say that? Well, it was really apparent when she went after her sister for saying something about the schedule. She pretty much just bullied her into silence. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I back off. And we've seen her claim to have converted all these people. And I'm beginning to wonder if all the conversions were actually people saying, yeah, I'll say the sinner's prayer. Go away. Just to shut her down and make her shut up and go away. I really wonder about that now. She has obnoxiously pushed herself different places. She was going to the Duggar weddings many times until she leaked a photograph from one of them before the Duggars had a chance to. And they pretty much cut her off. She tries to be funny adjacent all the time to the famous ones. And it's just kind of crazy because now I'm wondering what she thinks about so many of them that she has been so supportive of, like Josh Duggar, have ended up turning out so poorly. Does she still support them or not? I don't really know. But what I find interesting about Jill is her and her husband, IFB, Independent Fundamentalist Baptist, yet they seem to trample on a lot of the rules that the Independent Fundamentalist Baptist IFB have that I've seen. I've seen all kinds of outfits and garish everything, and most of the Assemblies of God, Holiness Church, IFB, they tend to not just dress modestly, but not wear much makeup or any of that. But not Jill. One of her other daughters is now engaged, and I think I would not be surprised if we don't see the wedding soon. Hey, Celine. But Jill's greatest hits, like I said, it's hard to figure out her theology except to say that she is basic Independent Fundamentalist Baptist, even though she is not adhering to most of the rules they have for women and how they're supposed to comport themselves and dress and wear makeup and various things. So I'm wondering if it's not some kind of non-denominational thing she's really doing. Because one of the things that I've learned through my years at Quiverfull, when you see somebody's kind of out there, usually they're doing their own thing. They're doing non-denom. They're making it up as they go. And with a lot of these people, that's exactly what's going on. And I think that's what's going on with her. And her getting her way every time tells me she must be HE double hockey sticks on wheels in real life. She got a brand new, very expensive kitchen. At the same time, her poor daughter Nuri had a $100 wedding. So I'm kind of curious to see what the next daughter's wedding is going to be like, because one of the other daughters is engaged. I don't doubt we're going to hear about a wedding here like any day now. And if she spends $100 on this one, who's not her favorite, I would be shocked, hideously shocked, because the first wedding, she had what looked like Dollar Tree ivy that she had stapled onto like a white sheet, and it had run little, very inexpensive little fairy lights up and down it. And the sad thing about it is it could have been made beautiful even with that stuff if she had just arranged it differently. But no, it was like exact rows. Really strange. I mean, you were looking at all the stuff that she did for Nuri's wedding and saying, she could have done better with the stuff she used. She could have made this really pretty. When you're looking at it later going, oh my goodness. So I think that Jill's God is Jill. She won't admit it. I'm sure she's going to say, oh, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. This is all for Jesus. Jesus. Instead of singing, it's all about me, Jesus, and all this is for me. I really, when I think about her, you've never heard of her? You need to look her up. She's somebody that was trying to be like the Duggars. She tried to get a television show. She tried to be Duggar adjacent. Her daughter Nuri is married to Anna Duggar's brother, her younger brother. And her husband don't work. They have a printing ministry where they print up smiley face tracts. And they travel throughout the U.S. in their little RV doing missionary work. Well, basically what they're doing is they're showing up and they're playing the banjos and singing. David is preaching and then they're passing in the hat. That's how they support themselves. They don't have jobs. They're constantly grifting for everything and everything. She is in that camp. That's exactly right. YouTube, Jill Rodrigues. YouTube, Timothy Rodrigues, if you're ready for the most shockingly off-key renditions of famous hymns. He has a ton of those on YouTube, or at least he did. And I would just listen and laugh sometimes because they were so awful. And you could hear his mother almost coaching him from the sidelines. And she really thought that she was going to launch his music career. It didn't happen. When you don't understand how business works and you think that you do, it is what happens. His singing is hilarious, Jan. It's one of the most hilarious things about the Rodrigues is his singing. I feel very sorry for him too, Carolyn, because if gossip on Reddit is to be believed, and I believe it is based on some things I saw, he had a sweetheart when he was attending college, when he was away attending community college to learn how to be a missionary pilot. He was living away in Indiana. He had a girlfriend. They got engaged. He bought her a little promise ring from a pawn shop. His girlfriend was fine, Prairie. I was really shocked. Jill and David showed up, saw what was happening, and put pay to that. And apparently went all the way off on Timothy and said, you are not allowed to get married, blah, blah, blah. Well, now Timothy is living in one of their trailer camper things on property, running a lawn mowing business. And the funny thing is, I know a lot of people in Quiverfull that they run those kind of businesses where that's exactly what they're doing. They're going around mowing everybody's grass. Somebody needs to help Jill on her scouting for location trips. She films announcements in the most bizarre places. The Lone Wanderer, absolutely. Jill's taste is in her rear end. I mean, just look at that poor wedding, that poor Nuri wedding. Bet they regret that now. Yep, I'm sure they do. Free Tim Rod, exactly. Tim's throwing off his lawn care equipment, apparently. He's been doing that for the last year, and I don't think he's had any nibbles, which leads me to believe that he's trying to charge way more than it's actually worth, which is also really common in that kind of evangelical quiverfull where you have not in touch with reality and say, I want this and that. Prairie, you and me both. I would show up with you and style that wedding. That's my jam. I love that stuff. I was actually good at that in my old church. I'd show up and make everything pretty. Christmas, Easter, whatever. And I loved it. I was good at it. Women's retreats, all of that. Her social media venue, she has all the usual things: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and she has a website, Rodrigues Family Ministries, where you can read some of her writing and some of her explanations of things. And it's really, really, it's trippy. She has the funeral for her sister Amy's legs. She has some of the things she wrote for that. She sometimes will talk about things that she's done, especially if she's witnessed to somebody and led them to the Lord. She has got a whole pile of, I led so and so to the Lord's. Oh, Amanda. Yeah, you're late to the party. I'm going over the history of Jill yet again. Prairie, I would love that. Just put it together and send Jonathan a message and tell him it's a gift. Every girl deserves a pretty venue on her wedding day. Absolutely, Prairie. I am down with that. I would so do that. And I've styled a couple of weddings at last second. So that's not unheard of. And Jill, like I said, she crashes funerals. She's crashed funerals. She crashed a funeral that was infamous in the Midwest, where a family's trailer burned down, but the mom and dad lived, but the kids all died. She crashed that funeral. She went and she took selfies with the grieving parents in front of the caskets. Amanda, I can't find that she set a wedding date yet. Was a part of the IFB soul winning church, and so few adults actually are receptive to all that type of evangelism. I know that, Prairie. I had a different style when I was part of the Quiverfull Church. I had a completely different style for witnessing that seemed to work a little bit better than that. But if you're just going door to door, knocking on doors, handing out your little pamphlets, handed out your pamphlets. They got me here. They got me here too. This is for let me see. Seventh-day Adventists have tried to hit me up here, and so have the Baptists and the Mormons. This one it's very old. It's actually kind of funny. There are places in it. And it's really funny because look at the clouds. It looks like an angry man staring at Jesus, beating on the I don't know which building that would be. But I keep it, and I've got another funny one that someone gave me when I was in the States. A black lady approached me outside Aldi's, and she was really timid and saying, "Would you be interested, maybe?" And I said, "I'll take your literature and take a look." And it was pretty nutty. It was for some church. It was way out there. Yeah, Seventh-day Adventists, absolutely. Trying to paint your nails. Oh my goodness. I am getting ready to do that as soon as I'm done with all of this. I have to paint my toenails. They're awful. You styled your friend Liz's wedding last minute. It was gorgeous. Yeah, I did a number of those. Family and friends and people at the church. When I saw it was like, oh my God, that's what you're doing for the wedding. Let me go in there and make them pretty. Have the 7-day Adventists figured out that when the world is going to end yet? I don't know. Did they try to say that book was written by Ellen G. White? They call their literature evangelists. Yeah, no, he didn't try to sell it. And if you look, it's kind of bent and beat up. And so it's been riding around in, can't remember which guy it was. It's been riding around in his car for quite a long time. And if you look at the back, there's all kinds of come-ons about the Bible story for adults, for kids. There's that. And it was sent by a church in St. Louis. So I'm not sure how it fell into the hands of Eduardo, but it is there. There are other books and Bible things they're trying to sell to you too, as well. And I'm not even sure when this stupid thing was published. I did read it. It is an Ellen G. White publication. 1992. This thing's been rolling around. So it got all the way to Central America, which makes me laugh. I know at one point during during the whole pandemic that Jill and David put together all these Ziploc bags with tracks in them with hand sanitizer and masks and started going door to door and giving them away unmasked. And I really could not figure out why on earth anybody would take anything from them. If they'd arrived at my house unmasked to hand me stuff and try to talk to me the good news, I'd be going, go away, you plague rat. Go away, go away, go away. Go away, you plague rat. I would never have let them anywhere near me. That was the other thing that was really disturbing that they did. They took their children and in the midst of the pandemic when they were telling everybody to stay home. It was like mandatory orders. They went out and did a bunch of conferences and just were all over the place like plague rats that they turned out to be. The Pope, after John Paul II, was supposed to be the Antichrist. I was effing terrified and super young. I'm still waiting. Yeah, Prairie, they keep coming up with all these different times and whatever. You know what it says in the Bible about that? That's what makes me laugh. They're all trying to come up with that. She says in the Bible, no man shall know the day or the time. And that makes a lot more sense to me. And say, okay, it's going to be October the 1st, 2032. The Jehovah's Witnesses sat outside my Dollar General store these days. When I left my town, they were set out in front of the post office with their books. They had a whole big selection of them. They wanted you to talk and give you their books. And I was just like, nope, I am not interested. Did Jill put her Plexus drink in those baggies? I believe she may have put samples, or at very least her business card in there. I would not have doubted that one bit. Because that sounds like a Jill move if there ever was one. I'm just shocked she didn't serve Plexus drinks at Nuri's wedding. And I don't know if anybody observed the whole thing with the wedding. Jill seemed rather subdued. She was not smiling in many of the pictures. She just looked kind of blah. And that's not the Jill we know. We know the woo, over the top, batting the eyelashes, smiling big. Jill, we know that Jill. The annoying ones, the evangelical Christians, are getting impatient for the rapture and so want to cause it. Java man, those guys scare the crap out of me. I've got to tell you, they do, because they come up with this stuff. And that was one of the reasons why we ended up leaving our last church, Tamarindo Church, because, well, first, because I was having the dog incident, that I was having a severe reaction to a visitor's emotional support animal to the point where I was having anaphylactic reactions. And since they'd run the pastor off who had a rule that said no dogs in the actual building, they were letting people bring their dogs, and the dog was making me really sick. And it was a visitor's dog. It wasn't even a regular member's dog. And so I left. But my husband left because the men's group started turning it into, I started calling it, it's the end of the world as we know it, cluster F, because they kept going round and round in circles, studying this David Barton book, studying this book by so-and-so. And all the books were written by Christian historians who have only the thinnest grasp on American history and world history. And they're trying to predict this end of the world. And they're all going, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. We have to buy our generators and our toilet paper and all that crap and have our guns and be ready. So those are the ones, they want the rapture so bad, they're almost ready to cause it now because Jesus will come back. That's what makes me laugh when they start talking about how much I love the Jews and how much I love Israel. That is the biggest bunch of malarkey. The only reason they have anything to do with Jews is because they're trying to wait for the rapture to start, and they can't wait until the Jews either drop the bomb or somebody drops the bomb on the Jewish population of Israel. That's supposed to start in times. and they're all just waiting with bated breath. I think that is a really horrible way to view the Jewish population as a means to get the thing you want to happen, because they don't care about them as people, just like they don't care about Hispanics. They don't care about people of other races at all. And that's another feature you can see from when Jill posts pictures. Very seldom are you ever going to see a brown or a black face unless it's somebody that's waiting on them. I'm not saying Jill is racist. I'm just saying she lives in her white evangelical bubble. And a lot of the evangelicals do. It is so funny because if they actually had actually read and understood the Bible, were actual Christians, they wouldn't be worried because they would go to heaven. That is if they were truly Christians. Yep, they really would not be, and they would be more interested in helping others than they are. So that's it in a nutshell with Jill. Jill's just not a very nice person as far as, anything. I think she has bullying characteristics from what I've seen. She seems to get her way in everything she does. David doesn't seem to stand up to her unless he's drinking her hummingbird nectar. That was always horrible to me. And how is that any different from the Jewish genocide before? Jackie, it's no different than the Holocaust. It is no different. They're calling, they're waiting for this horrible end of the world scenario in which Israel is completely wiped off the map for Jesus to come back. So they're saying they love these people. They love this one group of people by race who live in the Middle East. And at the same time, they're waiting with bated breath for a total annihilation of that part of the world. It just does not compute. You run that through your brain, you're like, what the heck was that all about? So before I go, I have to tell you a quick little story. Last night, I had a terrible nightmare. It woke me up around 6. I got up early. And Jill starred in it. She wasn't the only one in it, but I've been writing this book about my time in my Quiverfull church and taking some other writings and incorporating it into it and trying to put in some kind of logical order. I dreamed last night, buffering. It's raining. Likely I am buffering. Okay, I dreamed last night that my church in the States, my original Quiverfull church, that I was there and I was still a member. And I walked around, I was talking to various people, and people started shunning me. And the pastor came up to me and said, you're excommunicated. You have to leave. You have to leave now. And I was on my way out. I was kind of joking around with people, and people were turning their backs on me. And I had this very odd beaded ring that had like a worry doll on it or something. And I stopped and was talking to Jill. I was like, how do you like my ring? I got it at the thrift shop for like $1 or whatever. And she wouldn't speak to me. She just had those big eyes and glared at me like, what in the heck is this? And I crept away. Oh, I hate when it does that. So I crept away, and I woke up immediately and was just like grieving. It just hurt so bad because that's how it felt when I left, even though nobody ran up to me and told me that I was excommunicated, and nobody acted like that to me in the church right before I left. It was just a freaky experience in my dream, and I woke up kind of discombobulated. But I was surprised that Jill made it in there. I guess it's because I've been agitated this week and last week about her treatment of her mother, who would definitely qualify as a vulnerable person. And I'm just horrified that no one in the nursing staff or doctors has stepped up and said, hey, no more photography of this poor woman who cannot give permission. So that's it. I'm running out of air. I got to go lay down now. and I gotta wash up after cleaning that out. The thing I hate the worst, that's one of my top 5 chores that I do not like, crawling around there, reorganizing the bottom cabinets. I always despise when fundamentalists want to force others to live in ways that only fit their small idea. Was correct. God made other different, and so it was okay. The Caldwells did a similar thing. Yeah, I heard that they did. I don't know them well enough to say much about them, except that that's not a nice thing to do. I'm going to take a nap, you guys. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to lay down and read. Maybe I'll go to some art. I need to paint. They put a photo up. The demented mom at the, oh gosh, that is the worst. Take care, everybody. And I'll see you guys later. Love you.